The decision to be excellent. There is a moment in every life, and it's quiet, not dramatic, where you decide who you are going to be. Not when things are easy, not when you're winning, but when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when it's just you, your habits, and the truth. Kobe Bryant understood this earlier than most people ever will. Excellence to him was not talent. It was not destiny. It was not luck. It was a decision to take responsibility for every detail of his life. A decision to stop negotiating with his comfort. A decision to show up, whether he felt like it or not. Most people wait to feel motivated. Kobe didn't. Most people wait for confidence. Kobe built it. Most people ask, "What if I fail?" Kobe asked, "What if I don't give everything I have?" That question changes everything. Because once you decide that excellence is non-negotiable, life stops being about excuses and starts being about standards. Kobe never asked, "What's the minimum I need to do today?" He asked, "What does excellence require of me today?" And here's the uncomfortable truth. You already know the difference between average and excellent. You feel it every time you hit the snooze button, every time you skip the workout, every time you say tomorrow instead of now. You don't need more information. You need honesty. Kobe was honest with himself in a way most people avoid. He knew when he was being lazy. He knew when he was cutting corners. He knew when he wasn't living up to his own potential. And instead of making excuses, he made adjustments. That's the first lesson Kobe taught the world about excellence. Excellence begins with brutal self-awareness, not self-hate, not self-judgment, self-truth. He didn't blame teammates. He didn't blame coaches. He didn't blame circumstances. He took ownership. Because the moment you take ownership, you take control. And once you're in control, your life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you build. Kobe understood something most people never fully grasp. Your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. But greatness lives on the other side of discomfort. That's why he trained when others rested. That's why he practiced when others partied. That's why he studied the game when others relied on talent. Not because he was superhuman, but because he refused to be average. And average is seductive. Average whispers, "You deserve a break." Average says, "You've done enough." Average convinces you that tomorrow will be different without changing today. Kobe rejected that voice. He didn't chase motivation. He built discipline, because discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up anyway. This is where excellence really begins, not in the spotlight, not in the championships, but in the daily, invisible decisions. The world sees the highlights, the rings, the legacy. But excellence is built long before any of that. It's built in the early mornings, in the lonely workouts, in the repetition that no one applauds. Kobe didn't fall in love with winning. He fell in love with the process, and that's why he won. Most people misunderstand the Mamba mentality. They think it means being intense. They think it means working hard sometimes. They think it means being confident when things are going well. That's not what Kobe meant. The Mamba mentality was never about hype. It was about obsession with improvement, not obsession with results, not obsession with validation, obsession with the process. Kobe didn't wake up thinking about championships. He woke up thinking about footwork, angles, timing, details so small most people would never notice. But that's separate good from great. Because excellence is not built in big moments. It's built in small moments done consistently. Here's something Kobe understood deeply. Talent is common. Commitment is rare. There are thousands of talented players. There are very few who are willing to suffer for mastery. And yes, suffer. Kobe never ran from that word. He believed suffering was not something to avoid. It was something to use. Every early morning workout, every extra shooting session, every moment of physical exhaustion. That pain wasn't punishment. It was proof. Proof that he was doing what others weren't willing to do. Most people ask, how do I stay motivated? Kobe never asked that question. Because motivation is emotional, and emotions are unreliable. He built systems instead. He trained at the same time. He studied film the same way. He repeated movements until they were automatic. Not because it was exciting, but because excellence demands repetition. And repetition is boring. That's where most people quit. They don't quit because it's too hard. They quit because it's too repetitive, too quiet, too lonely. Kobe leaned into that loneliness. While others needed music, hype, and energy, he needed silence. Because silence exposes the truth. In silence, there's no applause, no validation, just you and the work. And Kobe believed this: if you can dominate the silence, you can dominate the spotlight. This is why he was never afraid of pressure. Pressure only reveals who you already are. If you prepared casually, pressure will break you. If you prepared obsessively, pressure becomes fuel. That's what the Mamba mentality really is. Not aggression, not ego. It's precision. It's doing the same thing, the right way, every single day. Even when you're tired, even when you're injured, even when no one is watching. Kobe didn't wait to feel ready. He prepared until he was inevitable. And here's the part most people don't like to hear. The Mamba mentality requires sacrifice. You will give up comfort. You will give up balance. You will give up approval. Because when you choose excellence, you automatically separate yourself. And separation feels uncomfortable. Friends won't understand your schedule. People will question your intensity. Some will call you obsessed. Kobe was okay with that. Because he wasn't trying to fit in. He was trying to become something rare. He knew something the world often forgets. You don't accidentally become excellent. You choose it. You build it. You protect it. Day after day. And once you do, once you commit fully to the process, something changes inside you. You stop asking, is this worth it? Because you already know the answer. Most people think confidence comes from winning. Kobe knew that wasn't true. Confidence comes from preparation and from knowing that even if you fail, you did not betray your standard. Kobe failed, a lot. He missed game-winning shots. He lost playoff series. He airballed. He got criticized. He got doubted. And he never ran from any of it, because failure was never an identity to him. It was information. Most people take failure personally. They internalize it. They let it define them. Kobe analyzed it. He asked different questions than most people, not, why me? But, what did this expose? Every loss revealed something, a weakness, a habit, a gap in preparation. And instead of defending his ego, he attacked the gap. That's real mental toughness. Not pretending things don't hurt. Not acting fearless. But being willing to look directly at pain without flinching. Kobe understood something brutal. If you're afraid of failure, you're afraid of growth. Because growth and failure are inseparable. You cannot stretch your limits without occasionally breaking expectations, your own included. This mindset became even clearer when his body began to fail him. Injuries, pain, recovery, moments where most players would slow down or step away. Kobe adapted. He studied new ways to play, new angles, new rhythms. He didn't cling to who he used to be. He evolved into who he needed to become. That's another lesson the world often misses. Mental toughness is not rigidity. It's adaptability without surrender. You don't quit the standard. You adjust the method. Kobe never romanticized suffering, but he respected it. Pain was feedback. The fatigue was data. Limitations were invitations to think deeper. And when people talk about his legendary toughness, they often focus on the dramatic moments, playing through injuries, pushing past exhaustion. But the real toughness was quieter. It was in rehab sessions no one filmed, in film rooms no one celebrated, in patience when progress was slow. That kind of toughness doesn't look impressive on social media, but it builds something unbreakable inside you. Here's the truth Kobe lived by. You don't build resilience when things go well. You build it when you refuse to collapse when they don't. He didn't need everything to be perfect to stay committed. He stayed committed because commitment was who he was. And that's why setbacks never owned him. They sharpened him. Failure didn't make him question his path. It clarified it. Pain didn't make him bitter. It made him precise. And over time, something powerful happened. He stopped fearing the worst-case scenario because he had already survived it and learned from it. That's the freedom real mental toughness gives you. When you're no longer afraid to fail, you're no longer controllable. Eventually, every pursuit reaches a deeper question. Not, how good can I be? But, what will this cost me, and is it worth it? Kobe Bryant understood that excellence is never free. It costs comfort. It costs convenience. It costs the version of you that wants an easier life, and Kobe paid that price willingly. Not because he was chasing applause, but because he believed something rare. A life lived below your potential is far more painful than discipline ever will be. He knew that regret lasts longer than fatigue, that what if is heavier than hard work. Excellence demanded his time, his body, his focus, and yet he never called it sacrifice, because sacrifice implies loss. Kobe saw it as alignment. His habits matched his values. His effort matched his ambition. His daily actions matched the future he wanted to earn. That's what legacy is really built on. Not championships, not statistics, not highlights. Legacy is built on standards you refuse to lower, even when no one is watching anymore. That's why Kobe's impact extends far beyond basketball. Because what he taught wasn't about shooting a better jumper. It was about approaching life with intention. He showed the world that excellence is not something you turn on when it's convenient. It's who you are, in your preparation, in your routines, in how you treat the details. He proved that greatness doesn't come from pretending fear doesn't exist. It comes from walking directly into it, prepared. And here's the truth most people never confront. You don't drift into excellence. You drift into mediocrity. Excellence requires resistance. Resistance against excuses. Resistance against distraction. Resistance against the part of you that wants comfort over growth. Kobe didn't live a perfect life. He lived a deliberate one. And that's why his mindset continues to matter. Because long after the games end, after the noise fades, after the spotlight disappears, you're left alone with one question. Did I live in alignment with who I knew I could become? That question doesn't care about your circumstances. It doesn't care about comparisons. It doesn't care about opinions. It only cares about truth. Kobe chose that truth every day. Not once. Not when it was easy. Every day. And that's what he taught the world about excellence. Excellence is not a moment, it's a lifestyle. It's waking up and choosing discipline over excuses, process over praise, standards over shortcuts. And when you do that, when you stop asking for permission to be great, you don't just change your results, you change who you are. That is the real legacy. Not just to be remembered, but to become someone worth remembering.